Good evening, and thanks for finding your way by once again. Tonight I'm going to be continuing on with the NegativeG RC TC V-1.5 comp chassis build. Hopefully you watched the last video on the NegativeG before watching this one, but if not, I'll touch real quick on what this is. So the NegativeG is basically a kit that is designed to where you can take an existing RTR style truck, say a TRX4 Sport, and SCX 10.3, whatever your flavor is. As far as I know, only portal axle trucks, but your chosen portal axle RTR truck, and you basically buy their kit, and between what's in this kit and everything that's in your RTR truck, you have everything you need to turn that truck into a comp ready crawler. Rather than a lot of the other comp chassis out there, you have to absolutely piece everything together, every nut and bolt, every spacer, drive line, bumpers, frame rail skids, all that stuff, which can be confusing for a first-time builder, or not even a first-time builder. I'm not a first-time builder, I'm just a first-time comp chassis builder. And to me, I looked at a lot of different brands out there, and I found it fairly confusing trying to figure out just what I needed to order. When I found this, I thought, this is going to be the way. Everything I need is going to be here as far as the chassis goes. The other stuff I could pretty much figure out, and I'm doing this one a little bit different since I don't have a donor vehicle. I did actually have to piece everything together as far as axles, shocks, links, all that stuff, but not really a big deal. And I talked in the first video about my choice of all that stuff. Now I've got all that stuff assembled, so I'm going to kind of show off the chassis, talk about how the build went, anything weird I found there, and then I'm probably just going to go ahead and get my axles mounted, get shocks mounted, all that good stuff. And I think really the main goal of this video is to talk about electronics. I've got all my electronics selected and gathered together, so I will show, once I get the chassis together, I'm going to show all the electronics that I'm going to put in here. I don't know if I'll get them put in tonight. We'll just kind of see how it goes, playing it by ear. But as far as the chassis goes, like I said, you can see it's majority is assembled. And I just went ahead and put it together. I didn't think it would be very interesting to just watch me screw parts together. There's 1,000 other videos out there of guys screwing chassis together. I don't think you're missing a lot there, but I'm going to go over how it went, what I did, and all that good stuff. So before I get too deep into that, one thing I do want to show is, I believe I kind of talked about how in the NegativeG kit, they don't really come with an instruction manual, it just comes with the barcode that you can scan. So what that does is that takes you to a page on their website that goes over the assembly of the chassis. So shows you all the parts, assemble the motor mount, transfer case, and then you basically just start screwing the frame rails and chassis pieces together. The instructions are great. I mean, I really had no issues with it. So on top of that, on the NegativeG site, I also used the instructions on Traxxas' website for the TRX4 Sport. And the reason I did that was to get link lengths. I'm not taking a truck apart, so I was building all my links from scratch. Now I did use, as I showed in the first video, I used these Samix high clearance link set titanium links and Revo rod ends. But I did want to make sure, since I was using different rod ends, that I got all my lengths correct. That's very hard to say. Anyhow, so yeah, those are the two things that I used as far as instruction manuals, I guess you would say. And that was pretty much all the info I needed. So get this guy back up here. So as far as the chassis goes, like I said, everything went together really well. There's a lot of 3D printed parts on here. I did use my Milwaukee screw gun, but I went super slow. You don't want to overheat this 3D stuff. So I use that because I do have a pretty good amount of arthritis in my hands, and it's a whole lot easier for me to use the screw gun to get the majority of the stuff put together. And then I cinch it down with my hand driver set. I don't try to, cinch them down and give them the ooga-doogas or anything like that with the screw gun. Basically, you got the slider, the sliders, the skid, and you got your body mount brackets, your bumpers, and they just screw straight to carbon fiber chassis rails, and there are absolutely no surprises there. There's really not much to talk to about that. One cool thing about this kit, it does come with a nice comp style bumper. This is like a knurled aluminum piece here with the carbon fiber ends. I think it looks super cool. And it does have a lay down servo mount, which I really like. I'm a big fan of lay down servos. Carbon fiber motor mount. Comes with the prop shaft. It is a so a couple of things I think I talked about in the first video that I misspoke. One was the transfer case. I believe I said I thought the transfer case had overdrive built into it. I have since confirmed that it does not. I don't know where I had seen that, but I had it in my head that it had overdrive in it. It is just a straight 1-to-1. It's just a 2-gear setup, 1-to-1 transfer case. Super simple. So with that in mind, and I'll talk about that later, but I do still have underdrive, but it's in the axles, not the transfer case. The other one thing I think that I misspoke on the kit is that in the hardware pack, which is a lot of this stuff over here in these little cups. These are all the super nice stainless hardware that they give you. It's very cool. They don't use cheap hardware on these things. But it does have one link that comes in the hardware bag, and I think I probably said I thought that was the panhard bar. As it turns out, that is not. That is the upper front link right here. So it does not take the standard Traxxas link. It takes this link, and this is stainless, I believe. So it comes with the link and the rod ends and all that. So you got your one link. This is a 3-link setup on this crawler. So as far as the links go, I've gone ahead and installed my lower links and the one link that they supply. I've also got my panhard. Now, like I said, I did not use a donor vehicle. So I didn't have a panhard, and a panhard did not come with the TRX4 link set. I also didn't have the steering links for the front axle as far as your drag link and your tie rod. I did not have those, so I had to source those. Now what I discovered is that the front panhard, or the panhard bar, is, I don't know if it's the same length, but I was able to make one the same length as what Traxxas shows their panhard bar being, out of the what is supposed to be the upper 4-link set that came with the Samex links. So I was able to use one of those to make my panhard, and I think I mentioned it, but if not, what I was using on the iPad there was Traxxas's website. All the link dimensions I got off of their website. Since I didn't have a truck I was taking apart and I was using, you know, different ends, I took all the dimensions off of the TRX4 Sport instruction manual to build my links to spec. Nothing weird there. Still got to install the upper links in the back, and I'll do those here later tonight. And as far as the steering links go, I was able to find where Traxxas sells this drag link and tie rod in a kit. So I was able to buy those. Those are just factory links. I did use the Revo rod ends on the drag link. The factory shows it using a, I don't know if it's offset or angled. I'm going to call it angled here and here. But the factory Traxxas truck is going to sit up a lot higher. So I thought I would try it with the, you know, straight ends, the Revo ends first. And if it binds up or anything, I guess I can change them. It's not a big deal. And what I did here, because these do not come with any ends, these are just, when you buy these, are just the straight bars. What I was able to find, let's see, find a part number here. Traxxas sells this kit, part number 8275, and what it is, it comes with 10 straight ends, 10 angled ends, and 4 offset ends. And I believe what that is, the offset are going to be these ones here on the end of the tie rod. You can see right there how it's kind of offset so that it'll clear the front cover. So it comes with some of those. So I was able to use those, and it came with a bunch of angled ends and stuff, and I haven't used any of those. And again, if I need them, I'll have them. But I had to source that. It does not come with the balls. Luckily, the Revo kit I had bought had a few extra of the hollow balls. So use the same one. All that stuff come from Traxxas though. So I was able to just use factory Traxxas replacement parts for that stuff. And these, I think I talked about this in the first one, but from NegativeG they make this upper link riser for the rear axle, and that is supposed to increase your anti-squat, which from my understanding makes it climb better. So it was fairly inexpensive. It's a billet aluminum piece, super nice piece there. I went ahead and installed that on there, and I also on the chassis had gotten the billet aluminum panhard bar mount. The kit does come with the panhard bar mount, but it's 3D printed. I spent a few extra bucks, got the aluminum one. Super nice piece. Don't think I'm going to have any issues with that. Shocks. This is one place that was a little weird to me. Now these are the deluxe. What do they call these? I'm drawing a blank, but they're the deluxe shorts, and they have the medium springs on them, which will be getting changed before I even put it on the truck. I'm not going to use these springs. That was the only way I could find them on the internet, was with the medium springs, and I think they're just going to be entirely too stiff. But the interesting thing that I found with these when installing them, they are kind of a pain in the ass, and I don't think anybody makes any bones about that. Actually got this little snap ring in here. But, you know, I knew that going into it, and I've assembled these type of shocks before, so it's not a big deal. What was kind of interesting, though, is when I did the first set, they came with these, like, I call them X-ring seals. And it probably doesn't show up on camera, but they're blue. Or they were green. They were either blue or green. Anyhow, but they were this nice heavy X seal, and it kind of took an act of Congress to get the shock shaft through there without, you know, hurting the seal or anything. And they're super tight. I don't think they're gonna ever leak. But when I got to the second set of shocks, what I found was, rather than having those X seals, they had these orange. Yeah, these are the orange ones. So they had these, again, probably doesn't show up, but you can kind of see through that little spacer there. It's just an orange O-ring, completely standard O-ring. It doesn't have the X or anything like that. What I found is, even though I got two pairs of the exact same shocks from the exact same supplier on the exact same day, they had two completely different seal kits in them. The blue or green, whatever they were a Traxxas part. They came in a Traxxas bag inside there. The other ones were just like I said, just an orange O-ring, and they are like two completely different shocks. If you can see how slow those things rebound, those are much faster. Let's see if we can do a little super scientific test here. Know how to do this. Let's see. Let's try this. You can see the one in back pops right up, and this one is quite a bit slower. But I don't know, it's kind of weird. I guess I'll try to use that to my advantage for tuning, maybe put the faster ones on the front or something. But I will tell you, when I went to install the shock shaft through those seals, it basically just dropped right through. So I don't know if it's going to be, you know, nearly as leak proof as the other set is going to be. I guess remains to be seen. I just thought it was really weird and something to note, because these are not inexpensive shocks per se. They're the ones that everybody, you know, recommends, super popular in the comp circuit. But I just thought that was really odd to end up with two different shocks. So beyond that, I think that's about all there is to talk about on the chassis. Like I said, I really didn't have any issues at all putting this thing together. All the hardware is labeled. I just went through and opened the hardware bag, and I just separated everything into these little lids, and, you know, I just used a Sharpie to write what size they are, so at a glance I could see the size, grab them. And I'm gonna say, you know, to install the motor mount or to build the motor mount and the transfer case, you know, that honestly, it probably took me like 10 minutes to do both of those, and then I would be amazed if I spent more than 15 minutes on the rest of it. It really did not take long. I think I actually did record the assembly of the chassis, and I think the camera showed like 14 minutes and something when it was all said and done. It's not a huge outpouring of time to put one of these things together. Alright, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to finish up installing my links, get my axles installed, probably swap out my shock springs and install the shocks so that I'll have a finished chassis, and then I'm going to be right back, and we're going to talk about electronics. I don't even think I'm going to film me putting any of this stuff together. It's not going to be that interesting. So the electronics is the stuff I really want to talk about. Here in just a minute, I'll be back with the finished truck. Okay, I am back with the completed chassis, or mostly completed. I'm still missing a couple pieces. I don't have any drive shafts. I just haven't found any that I like that say they will fit this truck, so I got to figure that out. I thought about just getting, factory Traxxas TRX4 ones, but none of my local shops have them. I might run around tomorrow and see if I can find some so I can get this thing a little bit more completed. But there she is. And it went together pretty smooth. I had to change a couple little things in the front. And what I did here on the panhard bar, originally I had this offset link here, the Traxxas link up on this end. And with that offset link, it actually was causing interference between the panhard bar and the top of the diff. So right now, I went ahead and changed that out, and I just put one of the straight Revo rod ends on there, and that's going to work a lot better, I think. And I don't know if you can see, but if we look in there, I've got the shocks in the highest position they can go before the panhard hits the diff. I tried them higher, I tried them lower, so I think that's going to be my optimal spot, hopefully, at least for clearance. That's kind of how I like to set them, is just see what clears. I don't like things bumping around when they're not supposed to be. Other than that, I didn't really change anything. It seemed to be missing a spacer in the kit for some reason. I don't know if it fell somewhere behind something or whatever. I couldn't seem to find it. It seemed to be one short. A little 2mm spacer that goes right here behind the panhard. Luckily, I have that big Team K&K spacer pack, so it was a complete non-issue for me. And honestly, you might be able to get away without it, but I think you would have a little bit of interference problem without it. So anyway, I had one, so crisis averted, not a problem there. For the shocks, I did go ahead and install the Losi Mini-T springs, and they are the pink, which is the softest spring, and then I guess it's brown, that is the medium springs in the back. And I went ahead, since I had two different shock actions like we talked about before because of those seals, I installed the soft ones, or the faster ones, whatever you want to call it, in the front. And then in the back, I installed the stiffer ones. You can see how much slower they are to react, which I'm kind of okay with that. I'd like the back to have quite a bit less action, or at least a lot slower for side hilling, so I think that's going to be to my advantage. I just hope that these fronts don't start leaking before the backs do. And I could be totally wrong. And if I'm wrong, I apologize to Deluxe and whatever, but yeah, hopefully those O-rings stay intact there. But they definitely have a faster action than the back ones do, for sure. Okay, anything else? Yeah, nothing really weird that I ran into. Everything else pretty much is bolted together. And so I've got a complete slider, got to find some drive shafts, and I think that's probably the last piece of the puzzle to the chassis itself. Now, for what I really wanted to talk about tonight is electronics. So, getting my stuff together here, and I may start working on this tonight, we'll see. But what I've got here, I'm going to start with my servo. This is the Three Brothers G13, and this thing is super strong. It's 4S capable, direct power, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So 16.8 volt. Looking at the power, it shows 800 at 12. I'm going to be running this on 3S, so I'll be getting around in there somewhere. Speed 0.11, but it's a pretty heavy, beefy servo. Just about dropped it on the floor. But nice thing about this guy is it is direct power. I prefer direct power servos in most applications. So I've got my power lead here, and then I've got your your receiver lead. Yeah, that's the one. I see it right on there. It says something like 22.2 volt capable, waterproof, brushless. But yeah, this dude's pretty heavy duty. Should work totally fine in there. I've got some other Three Brothers servos I really dig. So that's going to be the servo that's going in there. And somewhere, I can't find it, of course, I do have a Vanquish servo horn that I bought to use with this. I just have no idea what I did with it, so I'll have to come back to that later. Now for my motor, I am going to be running an Outrunner style motor. So what I've got here is the Holmes Hobby, and this is the Crawlmaster Mini, I believe they call it the Mini. Yeah, the Crawlmaster Mini V3 RTR. Now the RTR comes just like this, all assembled. I do have another one of these. I have the V2 in my HPI Venture, and it has been awesome. I've got it with a Three Brothers Yellow Jacket Outrunner, and it's been great. I like it a lot. It is quite a bit smaller than this one, which I'm not loving how big this is, but we'll see. But the nice thing is the other one I built, which I'm totally fine with. It come with a, you know, as a bare board. You solder it all together. This one seems like it was pretty much the same price or something for the RTR. I probably wouldn't have bought it, or it was the only one that was available. I don't remember. I bought it a while back, but it comes with the programming port. Or the programming adapter, USB-C, so you can hook that up to your computer and change the parameters of the ESC depending on what motor you got. And one thing that's super nice is that it already has the power plug for my direct power servo, so that is awesome. That'll make wiring this thing up super easy. Set that aside, and now this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is just the icing on the cake right here. And if you know what this is a Holmes Hobbies revolver. You'll see right there at the bottom, Team Spec Purple. So I told you the purple shocks would make sense later. I bought this thing a long time ago, and I have been hoarding it for just the right project. I didn't know what I was going to use it at the time. I'm what you would call a serial shopper. But so I bought this guy, and I have been just dying to use it on something. This is a beautiful piece, and I love these little Holmes revolvers. And now that they've got these silent ESCs, which is what this is, they're not annoying as hell to run. Unfortunately, I'm a little disappointed in the fact that the purple is nowhere near the same purple as the shocks. But, yeah, it is what it is. Had to try. I think I'm going to go ahead and start installing electronics. Oh yeah, man, that's gonna have. There's gonna be so much room between that motor and that battery tray. And speaking of batteries, so that's the last piece of the electronics puzzle. I guess it's actually not. I got my receiver around here somewhere, but anyway, the receiver I'm gonna be using this is just. I'm probably gonna use a 3-channel. I use a FlySky GT3 that's been hacked to 8 channels, and of course I don't need 8 channels for this rig. I really only need 2, but. 3-channel receiver is the smallest I got, so I'm going to use a 3-channel FlySky receiver. And then for battery packs, I like these little 850 tattoos. I got a stack of these things. I kind of use them in about everything, and that battery pack is going to fit right there, and I have plenty of clearance on my motor and everything. I'll probably put my ESC out to figure out where I want the ESC. It'll go on one tray and the receiver probably on the other. But yeah, that's all the electronics there. And I think I've probably rambled on enough for tonight. I think I'm going to go ahead and probably start installing some of this stuff and dig around, see if I can't find my Vanquish servo horn, because quite honestly I'm dying to try this thing out. I think that'll be good for tonight. I was going to talk about bodies and wheels, but I think I'll save that for the next video. So once again, if you've stuck with me this long, I thank you, and I hope that you know, somebody got something out of this. Maybe somebody's been thinking about a project like this and wasn't really sure where to start or how it would work out or whatever. So again, hopefully it's helping somebody. But anybody watching, have a good evening and see you next time.